Out me ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. So you'll have seen from the title, I'm very excited about this Oracle deck that I've just received today. Can I get a whinge out the way? It's not very often I whinge, but sometimes I do. I've had yet another one of these covering my address. Customs to pay £19.40. I have no idea what it is. I didn't even think I'd ordered anything from outside of the EU. So they don't tell you, you just have to pay the fee and then whatever turns up, turns up. But it's getting really bad because I paid 30 last week, 20 this week, that's £50. I've just spent £40 at the post office today posting. And it's getting to the point where, yeah, it just makes us really reconsider everything. And when the UK comes out of the EU officially at the end of the year, then unless something is bought in the UK itself, we're going to have to pay these excessive charges everywhere. But anyway, now I've got that out, let's get back to being really excited. So a little bit of history. A month ago, I knew nothing about this at all until Elle, the lovely Elle, my tarot daughter, the apple of my eye, sent me a link to this deck, and it was really cheap. It was something like £14, which I suppose is around $17, something like that. So really cheap. And it was an RWS Oracle, and I was immediately excited. And then I realized it was just a PDF. So then I came crashing down and like, well, what can I do with a PDF, you know? But the fantastic Brant from Moon Baby, who is such a good friend, I adore Brant. He's brilliant, and he's a whiz at things, all things technical and, you know, creative, whereas I'm not. I'm a complete numpty. I'd wanted to do a deck trade with me. I'd got an out of print deck and he was having a think about that I was prepared to let go of, and he was having a think about what he might be able to offer up. So he bought the PDF and then he uploaded them all onto Make Playing Cards, which was amazing. There's 52 cards. It's a 52 card deck. Not only did that, he designed a tin and he created the little white book. And I've just taken this out of the box, but I've not even had a look yet. So I think that was a fair trade, you know, for the deck that I'd got, for him to go that extra mile, buy it, upload it, give me his time and patience and create everything else to provide me with this deck that I think is the Oracle deck to end all Oracle decks. Does that mean that I won't buy another Oracle deck? No, of course not. I can still appreciate Oracle decks, but this will be, I know, my working Oracle, because my RWS, which is my soul deck, is my working tarot deck. So to have this to accompany, because the way I use oracles in readings are they are clarifiers, this is just a dream come true. And you can feel the print quality from Make Playing Cards, I have to say, on all their products, whether we're talking about the cards themselves or tins, and it's just wonderful. So yes, this is my immediate favorite deck, but as I've said, don't quote me by, you know, in a few weeks time if I buy an Oracle deck. I thought you'd got your ultimate Oracle. I've got my ultimate tarot, but I still buy tarot decks. It's just yeah, this is the Oracle deck that I've waited for. So we printed exclusively for Simon Harrison. That's a nice, oh, and it says it there as well on the back of the little white book. It's more like a pull out. That made me chuckle. So thank you, Brant. I really appreciate that little gesture there. I mean, why do I love the RWS? I don't know. I mean, I've spoken about it so many times. I even did my Tarot-thon segment this year, 2020, on the RWS, and you know, it's iconic for me. I love Pamela Coleman-Smith's art, but it's more than that. The tarot cards that are the RWS, the Rider-Waite-Smith, are familiar. They are deeply ingrained. I learnt the tarot. It wasn't my first deck 33 years ago. It was the one JJ Swiss, and I never really got on with it that well. And it wasn't until 2008, 12 years ago, that I got an RWS, and I'd seen those images anyway. We've all seen those images, and whether you love them or hate them, and I know there are people who really don't like the RWS, and that's fine too. They are iconic, and for me, there's something very deep. There's a very deep connection with it on a, I don't know, lots of people call it collective consciousness, and that's where archetypes come from, blah, 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 blah. But on a very deep soul level, there is a connection with the RWS that is very familiar. And it's almost, having a deck of RWS cards in my hand now is like having an extension of myself. I love them. So this is called the Moonlight Oracle, which is interesting. But it's a 52 card deck using Pixie's famous tarot images. And as I said, it's just a pull out quick reference guide here. It's plain on the other side, with the exception of this that Brand's done, which has made it really personal. Thank you, Brand. I really love that little touch. These are the backs. There is a band on this. Let's see if I can cut that open. There we go. So we'll remove the little band, and these are the backs, which again are, you know, symbols that we're used to seeing within the RWS Tarot. So we have the Torah here that belongs to the High Priestess, the Hermit's lantern, the moon that appears many times, the Justice Scales. You know, here we've got the Temperance. So, you know, Empress. It's all here, Ace of Cups. Cardstock is great, but I really do love playing cardstock. One of my favourite decks, RWS decks, that I've been using a lot recently is the Tarot Study, the Study Deck for Tarot course, sorry, which are scans of the PAM A, the 1910 deck. Got a little mark on my thumb. Which is amazing to shuffle, and these are really nice cardstock, so I love that. And then we've got the title card here. So we have Moonlight Oracle, 52 card deck using Pixie's famous tarot images, which is what's also on the tin. So let's pop them in there. Let's pop the tin, oops, over here. We'll have a look at the, I don't know if it's going to be in order or not, but so yeah, the cards are tarot size, which is great if you've got, like I've got, from, oh, where are we? Like my bag from Wolfbound Creations, which has 2 slots inside. So that's great for, yeah, 1 slot there, 1 there, for if you have a oracle and a tarot deck that you use together, which I will be for these. You know, they fold quite nice, so you can have them side by side in a bag if you've got less chunky space. But yeah, so I'll be able to put this in with an RWS. Oh, and do check out, I think later today or tomorrow, Wolfbound Creations, he's going to be uploading. I know that it's been long awaited, but he has been working really hard, so he's going to be uploading some stock onto his shop for tarot bags and tarot accessories over at Wolfbound Creations, so do check it out. So here we have the roller coaster, which is around, you know, chaotic emotions, anxieties, uncertainties, and just, you know, facing those waves when they come crashing towards us. That sort of wild ride that we often find ourselves on when we're on a roller coaster. It's very white knuckle, and we think, wow, what a week. You know, it's been up and down, and we've really been put through our paces. That's what this card is representing here. And you know, you see these images, and you just know whereabouts they are in the tarot deck if you're familiar with the RWS. And of course, here from the Four of Wands, that card that we often associate with some sort of celebration, like a marriage, union, that sort of thing. Here we've got the significance, which is about, you know, those important signs in life that we should look out for and we should heed. Protection as well, commitment, stability. We've got the 4, so we've got that stability. So it brings in the numerology of 4, and that stabilizing influence. I think it was Kelly Fitzgerald over at the Truth in Story who the coin dropped. You know, you get that light bulb moment when she said, think of a chair with 4 legs. You know, if you've got a chair with 3 legs, it's not very stable. You're not going to sit on it. A chair with 4 legs provides you with that stability. And I always remembered that. So yeah, the significance. Here we have balance, and we have that lemniscate position, and we've got the 2 pentacles there. So this is balance, harmony, flow, movement. Of course, a balance itself, as well as productivity, mutual energy. Yeah, cards feel lovely. Oh, here we have the confusion. So the confusion. We all face those times, don't we, where we have conflicted emotions, or we're presented with too much information and we're having to decipher things. And sometimes life is so busy, our brains become so busy, and we become foggy, and we don't make wise decisions sometimes. But this is to remind us really that we need to find space, open spaces. We've got a beautiful space, body of water here, the beautiful open space of the blue sky. The confusion, the illusion part, I like that it's bringing in the moon. But if we're starting to feel stressed, or we're starting to feel that we're unsure which way to go forward, or we're feeling indecisive, that uncertainty, then to find space for our mind. And sometimes going into physical open spaces, it's amazing, you know. As I always say, the mind and the body is interconnected, but so is the self and the environment. Change the environment has a massive, when we change the environment, it has a massive impact on ourself. And therefore, self and the mind, body and mind are interconnected. That's why we get ulcers when we stress. Stress is chemical things that's happening with our brains. It's a mental thing, but it has a physical manifestations. So here we have the pain. Oh. We automatically think of the 3 of Swords, don't we, when we think of pain as well. You know, that sort of heartbreak, when we feel hurt, betrayed, let down by others, we're suffering. It can be quite torturous. So yeah, but sometimes it's something that we have to go through so that we learn valuable lessons. And whilst it's horrible to go through in any present moment, when we look back at times in our life where we've experienced loss, or we've experienced pain, heartbreak, suffering, it feels like it's agony, and it is in the time. And you know, I don't want to be sitting here quoting cliches, but you know, like time is a great healer and all that sort of thing. We heal. We might never heal fully, but when we look back, sometimes we've realised, again, where the sum of our lived experiences, we are who we are because of what we've been through. And, you know, life isn't all, you know, joyous and celebratory. It also has pain. And then we go into the sadness here. You could almost, you know, put those together, couldn't you? Like in the tarot deck. Again, it relates. It's very similar. It's about hurt. It's about upset. Here we actually feel with this image that we're under the weather, you know, so to speak. And it's quite grey. It's quite miserable. And we talk about the weather like moods, don't we? We'll say, oh, isn't it a miserable day today? And this kind of grey, dark sort of November day that's very, it can bring about sadness. And I've spoken about, and do check out Longman Tarot, who's done a really good talk on his channel about seasonal affective disorder. You know, again, the self and the environment is interconnected, and when our environment is looking miserable, very often we can emulate and feel the same. Here we have the anxiety. Now, this is kind of taken from the Nine of Swords, isn't it? But there's a lot more than 9 swords. They've been, you know, the artwork has been added to here. So the anxiety is around that sort of feeling scared, feeling like things are overbearing, things are too much. You know, I used to be told very much when I was in my Christian background, oh, God will never give you too much to handle. And of course, I realise that that's not true. You know, somebody who's been through a complete mental breakdown that pretty much left me incapacitated for 3 years, and still to this day is a sufferer of anxiety. And it's not anything I won't talk about on my channel. I'm a mental health advocate. I'm a mental health first aider, trained first aider for mental health to support people in crisis. But, you know, anxiety is this blackness in the card. And I did a video recently called My Uninvited Visitor. And that had such an impact, making that video and talking about my experiences. The amount of people who trusted me with their stories and opened up to me as well. And most people, when they're in their anxiety or their anxiety levels are high, you know, it leads to chaos. It leads to feeling scared. It makes us want to withdraw from daily situations. And again, a bit like the first card, on an emotional level, it's a real roller coaster, and you'll think to yourself a few days later, I actually feel a lot better, and then the next day you're straight back down again. So anxiety affects a lot of people, and anxiety, actually, those of you who aren't aware of it, very often is a sign of depression. When we depress things, that's what depression is. It's to depress and say, I'm okay, I can deal with this. And then that sort of conflict brings about anxiety. The thoughts. Love this, how this thought is represented in clouds. And we often see in cartoons, don't we, these little thought bubbles turning into these clouds. But that's this card for me is just telling us about thinking, reflecting, taking time out. Do your hermit and ponder and go within, you know, analyze situations, do the homework, plan things through. You know, thoughts are really important. Everything starts with a thought. You know, everything starts with a thought. Jillian took a stone and created a beautiful piece of artwork, but the thought was there to do it in the first place. So everything starts with a thought, and it's important that our thoughts are healthy thoughts as much as possible. We all have negative thoughts, of course we do, but it's about finding that balance, isn't it? And, you know, analysing things and really reflect on our thoughts. The window. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to have a sup of tea. What is a window? I mean, we only have the window here. We don't have the rest of the card. Whether we're thinking of the beautiful window that appears in the Four of Swords or the window that appears in the Five of Pentacles. A window is something that we look out from. It gives us a view. It gives us a view on certain things. So sometimes it can shape our perspective because we might not see a full picture when we look through a window. You know, it's limited. Our view is limited. It provides a small space of which we can look out from. So again, I think we need to sometimes think about a bigger picture, more than what the eyes can see. A window will give us a view, it will give us a perspective, but it won't give us the full picture. And we have to remember that there's more to what we see as well. The Karma. I love this. I love this. So we've got the veil that's trying to block out the sun behind, like we see in the Justice card. We've got the scales here. And this is about life lessons, isn't it? It's about resolving issues. It's about gaining clarity from situations to be able to then reflect. And before justice can be given in whatever situation, you've got to have the full picture. You've got to listen to both sides. You've got to balance things out, and then you know what action to take going forward. Remember though, there's always something else beyond this veil, the sun. Something is hidden. Again, we've only got a perspective, so widen our perspectives to be able to make a decision. The reflection. I love these cards. I really love them. So this is about obviously thinking things through. It's about, you know, having ideas. It's about being able to, you know, plant that first seed, to be able to bring something into being, to manifest something. So yeah, thinking, reflecting, growth. Again, you know, that seed that's planted, it's growth to become something. And then from that growth and that planting, we see the progress. And here we have progress, hard work, movement, and following through, you know, in terms of you have faith in something that you perhaps plant, but for it to progress, sometimes things can just be left. But other times, you know, you have to go after things. You have to follow things through. You have to keep on keeping on to be able to progress things ultimately to where you want to go. And then we have teamwork, which is from our Three of Pentacles here. And I've always loved this card. But, you know, sometimes we can't do it all on ourselves. We need to collaborate with others. Other people will bring in new knowledge, new ideas, things that we haven't thought of before. And lots of people always go to older and wiser people, or people who've been doing things a long time, because they're very knowledgeable in that area, they're very learned. But actually sometimes it's about bringing in somebody quite new, because they'll have new ideas and a new approach. And this all adds to this progress in terms of, you know, growing and building and working together. Here we have the curtain. I'm just gonna, sorry, I keep having a little frog in my throat. And this is taken from the Nine of Cups. It seems really strange without seeing the guy sat on the chair in front of them and the cups all lined up behind. But this is around what's behind the curtain, like the wizard, you know, in the Wizard of Oz. And it's about revealing something, isn't it? If we have curtains that are drawn, what's behind? What needs to be revealed? You know, secrets, and maybe even our dreams. And there's some wonderful keywords that are really steering me with this. But they are also quite self-explanatory, aren't they? You see these cards, you see these images, and you kind of know, you know where you're going with them. So here we have freedom, or the freedom, as it's called here. Freedom for me just brings about that feeling of being light, that freedom of feeling carefree, where you may have felt quite shackled or quite chained down. I remember leaving an old job that had really started to bring me down in the last 12 months of being there, and it was suffocating the joy out of my life, and my anxiety levels were going up. And whereas for years I used to feel excited, you know, when the alarm went off in the morning about the day ahead, that sudden feeling of doom. And I don't know, I used to have a feeling going into work, a foreboding, but I wasn't quite sure why. And then when that came to an end, the immense sense of freedom that I felt as I walked away, with my future completely uncertain. And I had faith. I wasn't daunted. I just thought, I'm going to be all right, because actually this feels so freeing. And, you know, with freedom comes happiness, and just that sort of optimism as well, that almost goes hand in hand with that. And when we have the freedom to do things that we might not have been able to do before, how exciting is that? How enriching is that? Here we have the pyramid, although we have more than one pyramid. When I think of pyramids, I'll look up the words in a minute, but when I think of pyramids, I think about the labor, the sacrifices, the fantastic accomplishments when people pull together, you know, the years of hard work and dedication. Whenever I see the pyramids, I think of determination. I think of how when we are all single to creating something and we work together, we can perform wonders. And these are one of the wonders of the world, aren't they? Let me grab the little book here. So it says heat, passion, yeah, intimacy, strength, and building. Absolutely. Here we have the sunflower. So the sunflower, you know, that flower that tracks the course of the sun throughout the day, it turns itself to face the sun, to absorb as much heat and warmth as possible. And it's really quite beautiful, isn't it? Because once you have heat, you have what you need. It's one of the things you need for growth, for development. But the sun also, it brings about a sense of happiness, of joy. We see the beauty in the world. So if we think back to a card like, where are we? This one, the sadness, where the world is grey and dismal, and we can feel quite sad and depressed. You know, when we see the sun, this is what I love about springtime. And I know a lot of people struggle with hot weather in the summer and stuff, and I'm not talking necessarily about that, but I'm thinking about, you know, when the spring arrives, I my soul comes alive. I love the fact that, you know, it starts to get lighter in the mornings when I'm getting up for work, not leaving for work in the dark, and you start to hear the birds singing, you start to see the buds coming through. It's just it makes me feel alive. The spring makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I'm coming out of hibernation. But, you know, this is about joy and beauty, seeing the beauty in the world when that sun is shining on things that you might not have seen illuminated before. Here we have the offer, which is taken from the Ace of Cups, that offering. And the offer it's an opportunity for us. You know, that's what the offer is all about. It's a gift that is being given that provides us with an opportunity. Do we take it? Actually, it's also from it's more probably this one is from the Four of Cups, isn't it? You know, when we think about the person under the tree, you're looking at the 3 cups in front of him and feeling quite disengaged and cut off. And then there is this offer. So yeah, 4 of Cups rather than the Ace, of course. The Ace of Cups is one with all the beautiful, the dove and the water and everything like that. So yeah, the offer is an opportunity that we should really consider, you know. There's that old saying, isn't there? Don't look a gift horse. And here we have this this present that is being offered to us. You know, what is it? Is it a chance? Is it a chance for us to do something, to be able to move forward in a particular way? Maybe it's a change of fortune, a change of luck that we've been wanting, but we don't necessarily see it as that in the first instance. Then we have the intuition, which again is so important that we listen to our intuition, that we follow our gut instincts. I've often said that, you know, the only times, and I try not to live my life with regrets, with having regrets, but there have been occasions in my life where I've not listened to that little small still voice, that gut feeling, because my ego has said, well, you know better than that. Oh, it'll be fine. I can make this work. I can deal with it. And then they are the times in my life where I've thought, I really messed up there. I should have listened to my gut, trusted my intuition, and just, you know, took heed and not gone down the certain path that I've gone down. So, and that's where inner strength comes from, being able to listen to your gut feelings, that still small voice, and act on it. And you may never know whether you've done right, because of course, when you don't act on it and you go down a certain path, we see the consequences of it. Whereas very often when we follow our intuition and we don't make the decision that we make, life might just carry on as normal and we never knew whether it was right or wrong. Sometimes we're very blessed and we see the course that we could have taken and we see how it ended up for other people and we think, well, I'm glad I didn't do that because I would have been in there. But very often we don't, but we just have to have trust. The luck, this is from the Page of Cups, which is, you know, me as a court card. I am the Page of Cups. And it's those little surprises that come out of nowhere sometimes, isn't it? It's, you know, the small miracles that happen on a daily basis. Those opportunities that present themselves that was just totally unexpected. That does bring about a change of luck. Again, we don't always recognize it, or perhaps we view it differently. How many people would, you know, take a cup and find a fish jumping out and see that actually as a good sign? So again, sometimes things present themselves in a way, and it's our attitude towards it that can bring about whether we see it as something that can bring about some good luck for us or not. the commitment. So here we have the crossed keys from the Hierophant. And a commitment is when we say, of course, you know, when we say, yeah, I dedicate myself to this. This is it. And if I'm pulling this card as an oracle and it comes up with a commitment, then it's going to be telling me, when I've looked at my tarot cards, that actually this is down to my faith, you know. If I want something so badly, then I'm gonna have to commit to it. I'm gonna have to dedicate myself to it. Let's also look at a little pull out for this. Stability and security. Yeah, I get that. Ties, order, faithfulness. Yeah, I'm not sure if I use that word, but dedication and devotion. You know, having that sort of when you give of your all to something, when you really commit, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's to a job, whether it's to a project, or a personal goal that we set ourselves, we need to have the desire, we need to have the dedication, but then we need to devote, and we need to give it everything that we've got to bring about the outcome that we seek. Here we have the Magician's table, and we've got the work, and we've got the tools here to be able to do the work, and that's half of the battle, isn't it? You know, we need the tools. Look at all this. We need the tools to be able to do the work. But these are, when we think about the Magician, it's about bringing something into reality. It's about manifesting, but having the important tools around us to be able to do that, and where we find them from. So again, we've talked a lot about growth and progressive growth. The work itself is the journey, okay? It starts with the thought. Remember, everything starts with a thought. And then the commitment that we've just been talking about here. I like the way these cards actually flow quite nicely until we shuffle them. But then it starts with after the thought, the commitment, the nurturing, the dedication. That's the work. We put in the legwork, and then we manifest, and we get the tangible results. Here's the Infinity, which could be, you know, from the Strength card, from the Magician card, but this is about cycles. This is about the nature of life. Everything is cyclical, you know, just as every night turns into dawn, night follows day, the spring follows the summer follows the winter. It's all cyclical. It's all movement. It's all balance. You know, everything needs an opposite. Everything. And that's very similar with what we see with the yin yang symbol. But the Infinity is forever. And yeah, okay, nothing lasts forever, but how do we know that? We know the universe itself has an expiry date, but then what? You know, there are multiverses, there is a continuation, there is a rhythm. And when we align ourselves with that rhythm, then life becomes a lot easier. Even life and death, you know, we see death as being so final, yet we also, many of us, accept the ebb and flow of the nature of all things, the cyclical nature of all things. So I don't see why many more of us don't buy into this concept of life, death, because everything else flows in that way. Here we have the Wand from the World card. Again, the Wand, that's about, well, for me, the Wand is about two things. The Wand is about intention, and then channeling that intention, and then the manifestation, okay? So all the wands I have, and I've got one in front of me here that I have, this is the beautiful Owen wand that I have that Neris from Wiccan 222 made for me, but I've got many wands. And again, when you use a wand in magical practice, it's about, you know, using it for your intention and directing your intention, so that you can manifest what it is that you're trying to bring into fruition, your wishes, your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. And it's literally having, and it's symbolic, but it's having the power in your own hands. The loyalty. Here's the Fool's dog. Oh gosh, I so love this deck. So any dog owners out there, you'll just know the loyalty that comes from a pet dog. They're your best friend. You know, there is trust there. There's truth and honesty and companionship, and it's just wonderful. And I love that this card is called loyalty. Even here, you know, as the Fool is about to take that leap, not concentrating, the loyal companion here is ever present to try and, you know, just try and warn and safeguard. Just like your dog will safeguard your home to intruders. And here also we have the Fool's, it's called here the belongings, but yeah, those items that are essential for our journey, that we need to keep close hold of. So yeah, it has to be items that are essential to us, for survival. But not only that, you know, those items that mean a lot to us, that represent things to us. And we all have things around us. When we think about what our belongings are and what we can let go of and what we want to keep on hold to, you know, our belongings are often essential for survival, but also have very strong bonds through sentimental reasons as well. They are meaningful, and we just like to have them. We like to have them around us. They aid us. And then we have the Lion from the Strength card. So we have the Fear. And I'm just going to have a look at the notes here for the Fear, because I'm really intrigued as to why the Strength card, Lion, would be depicted as fear here. But it says here, scared, unstable, fright, terror, horror, alarm. But I'm looking at this a little bit differently, and I think it's because, I suppose if you don't know the RWS and you pick this deck up and you're just looking at fear and you see those keywords, it's doing what it says. But because I know this iconic image, I should say, it's about taming our fears. It's about mastering our fears, because our fears will hold us back. Our fears prevent us from doing something. And again, I've shared many times about how fear, at so many times in my life, has held me back, and still does to a degree. And it's something that I'm constantly working on in terms of trying to master my fears, control my fears, or take ownership of them and view them for what they actually are. Because fear, F-E-A-R, are false experiences appearing real. We fear something that doesn't even exist yet. It's in the future. You know, whatever it is we're fearing, even 2 minutes from now, is in the future. And we usually, based on past experiences, we catastrophize and we think it's going to be something that it's not. And very often when we get there, it's not been as fearful as we thought it would be. So it's about reducing it down, this that we've blown up, you know, the magnitude of it, about reducing it down, taking control, seeing it for what it is, and really sort of trying to overcome fears by reimagining a different outcome. And that's what tends to work for me. Here we have the lantern from the Hermit card, and this is the hope. And what is hope? Hope is about, it's about seeing an end result that we want to have, whether that's an aspiration or whether it's a dream, a wish, and not giving up and seeing it. And by seeing it and focusing on it, we can bring it into reality. Even when things look like everything's stacked against us, having that hope is illuminating. And a bit like the sunflower card, you know, when things are illuminated, they are brighter, they are more beautiful. And, you know, in our darkest times, the night that surrounds us, we can have that lantern to hold on to and shine a light that will give us hope that we will get through the darkest night. The night is darkest before dawn. And having that faith and belief in ourselves and the situation can give us the hope that we desire. And then we have the love. And the love can be about, you know, romance and passion and intimacy, but it could be about having admiration for others. It could be about having love for ourselves, caring for ourselves, looking after ourselves, treating ourselves, you know, being good to our bodies, being good to our minds. That's really an expression of love. I believe the universe is a universe of love. I believe that people who don't experience love or don't show love, you know, still have the potential. And maybe if circumstances had been different, then maybe their outward kind of behaviors and expressions and actions may also be different. I think, you know, nobody's born into this world wicked. That's just my own view, and I know people, it's not always a popular view, but I think you can take any person in history and trace it back to circumstances and experiences. It doesn't always justify, don't get me wrong, there's been some atrocities and there's no justification at all for them, but the world is a world of love. And I think when people are denied love, then it can have terrible consequences. Here we have the Torah, which is also on the back of the cards here. I just noticed there's no text. That's because it's got the name of the deck, Moonlight Oracle there. And that's knowledge, isn't it? And knowledge is power. We all seek knowledge in our journey through life. We have to understand it, grasp it, comprehend it. But knowledge, and when people say, oh, they're very knowledgeable, it can be as a result of study, but a lot of times it's just about experience. People become knowledgeable in certain areas because they've had experiences that have afforded them that opportunity to have that learning experience, which has provided knowledge. And when I seek out people for their knowledge, I like to go to people who have lived it, you know, and have come through something, so I can say to them, how did you deal with this, or what advice have you got, you know, and it's based on lived experiences. I'm trying to hurry this up because this is going to be a very long video, but how can I not talk about what's potentially my favourite oracle deck now without really kind of expanding on my thoughts on it. So here we have the Sphinx, which we see in the Chariot card. And we always see this as opposites. They're going in opposite directions, certainly looking in opposite directions. They're a bit like the pillars in the High Priestess card, black, white. It's the yin and the yang. But what that gives us is balance and harmony, okay? Everything has an opposite. There's duality in all things. And this gives us, it gives us the foundations for life and spirituality, I find, you know. It's about finding balance in every situation and, you know, finding harmony. If you think of that charioteer, if you've got two Sphinx pulling in two different directions, you've got to steer that. You've got to find the harmony. You've got to find the balance and bring things into alignment so that we bring our own lives into alignment and we carry on that journey where we want to go without being pulled left and right. So the Sphinx is about balance and harmony. It's about yin and yang. And to be able to get that movement and that flow, we have to find balance in our lives. The rainbow from the Ten of Cups, which is just beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it's just joyous. Even though I'm looking at this now, I'm almost seeing the scene below as well, with the family and the kids in the field and the parents behind, you know, with their arm around and embracing, and everything's happy and everything's, you know, it's that completion with the 10, isn't it? But I suppose this is about looking for the miracles in nature, the rainbow, looking for the silver lining. And last month when we went to Glastonbury, we went up the tour, we had a little miracle. You know, it'd been raining from 6 a.m. when we started our ascent up the tour, and we went live at 7, and the rain came in, but there was a beautiful rainbow, you know, and it gives you that hope. You know, it tells you that actually it might be raining, but the sun is still out somewhere. So it gives us the it just gives us the hope, really. It brings us joy. We all love to see rainbows. They're wonderful. They're, unless you really look into meteorology, which many of us don't, they are little miracles, you know, that just bring joy to us. Then we have the retreat. So the retreat is when we withdraw, and it's not always a negative thing to retreat. It can be, you know, and as a Buddhist of many years, we would go on retreats, and they would be an opportunity to reflect and to gather and to work on our spiritual development, but also to recharge the batteries. And then when you re-emerge from your retreat, you see things a lot more clearly because you've shut away a lot of the stimulus from lots of other things that's happening in your life and around you. So retreats, like the hermit, gives us the opportunity to really do some soul searching and to clear the mind and to rest the body, and to then come out recharged, ready to face whatever it is we need to face. We have codependency here, the codependency, and I love this because we've got the sun and the moon together. But that's about, you know, those attachments that we form. And codependency can sound negative, particularly if it's a kind of an addiction. And people have become quite needy. But also, you know, codependency, if we look at it from a positive slant, if it's possible, because yeah, codependency can be quite damaging. But, you know, you can have that attachment to, at certain times in your life, to raise you up, lift you up, to draw strength. But to go into codependency can be quite dangerous. So the sun needs to be the sun and the moon needs to be the moon, and both can coexist and be, light conductors for each other. But when they become codependent, it can be quite damaging. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but it can limit our progress, our journeys. So we have the transformation, which is beautiful, because this is the death card, isn't it? We've got the blackness, we've got the white rose, which is from the flag that is in the death card. Having thought about it, I should have gone through these RWS cards, and perhaps, like the window here, showed you where they are found. There's the good luck that we talked about. But let me just find the death card. We saw that one earlier. There's the rainbow. So if there is people watching this who aren't familiar, as I've been talking about the RWS deck, this is the centennial version of the RWS deck. There's the curtain. This is the deck that I've been referring to. There's the codependency that we've just seen in this card here. So this is where all the symbols are taken from. This is the gift. The death card is going to be the very last one, more or less the last one, near the end. So you see here, death is transformation. It is a transformative process. And this is where the image is taken from there. So yeah, what more can be said, really? We've talked about cycles that just happen through every situation. But the transformation is about, change. It's the only constant in life. But change gives us the opportunity to grow and to develop and to evolve. I often think of the death card as, two doors. One door closes, another door opens, and we walk through. If opportunity knocks, we open the door and we go in that direction. And death is transformative. Death, when we pull the death card, doesn't mean we're going to die or somebody that we're reading for is going to die, but something is going to die. The death of a situation, and what that is going to provide, whether that's, redundancy with a job or a relationship ending or whatever is going to die away, we are transformed as a result of that loss, of that process. And we may grieve for that job, that relationship, whatever it is, but we are learning and we are growing and we are transforming. And then here we have, from the Wheel of Fortune, we have progress. And progress is about it's a wheel, so it's about movement, isn't it? And it's about with that movement, with that turning wheel, there is a progression. The motion brings about a progression, and progress indicates to me that you are growing and you are developing. If you're progressing, whether you're progressing up a career ladder or a friendship is progressing into something more, it's about adding to, and that development, that movement of the wheel, advancing you, that's the word I'm looking for, closer to what it is that you want to achieve. Here we have the harmony, which I love. This is about finding balance, but it's that flow, isn't it? It's the ebb and flow. Again, it's about taking things and weighing things up and also when we think of the word harmony and we think about harmonious situations, it's about things being conducive. It's about the situations that we find ourselves in are aligned, they're in balance. And when we're talking about when things are out of balance, we're out of sorts, harmony is about where everything's aligned. You know, it could come after a fallout with a friend and suddenly there's harmony again. People have got that appreciation of each other. They've stepped out of their own comfort zones and looked at the world view from another person's perspective. Therefore, they have a better understanding and things are harmonious. So it's about that alchemical process where two opposites can find a middle ground, and then you've got that balance and you've got that harmony. The growth, that's taking it a little bit further from when we talked here about the reflection and how you can plant a seed, reflect, and you know, help it to grow. We've got the growth here now, which is about the development. It's about finding strength in, I don't know, rocky terrains where you see trees growing through rocks, or in dry deserts and all sorts of stuff. Growth sometimes can be a real challenge, a real struggle, but you know, when what emerges at the end is something quite beautiful because it's gone through that sort of development and that sort of needing to, you know, against all odds, find a way to be. Here we have the perspective. Now, I wonder if you can, those RWS lovers amongst us, I know exactly where this is, but it's not one of the most obvious symbols in the RWS deck, but it's, there we go. It's in our Temperance card. Do you see here? So this is perspective, and it's about accepting a different point of view, really. Perspective here is about looking at things and that might not always sit immediately in with our world viewpoint. And we will have our own perspectives on things, but remember when we saw the window card right near the beginning, this provides us with a perspective, but remember it's limited. We only see what we are able to physically see, but we know that there's a bigger picture out there. And what the perspective is saying is change your angle, you know, or listen to other people, to third parties, take on other different points of view. And then your perspective might not be so narrow or so fixed, because perspectives can be broadened, they can be changed, and we grow and develop when we sometimes have to change our perspective. So here we have the release, and the release is about just letting go, detaching, stepping away from, lifting that burden from our shoulders, and then we can move on and we can move forward. We heal from what we've been through, and we transform and we continue on our path. But before we can really feel that sense of feeling light, and again, there was a card here, and I related it to you know, when I said when I felt that losing a job, this is it, provided that freedom, that sense of freedom. That freedom comes when you release, and you have to let go of negativity. You have to let go of the burdens. You have to detach so that you can have that sense of freedom, that lightness that you feel to be able to move forward. Here we've got the miracle, which the miracle is the manifestation, I think, the manifestation of what our hopes and desires are. And it might seem like it's against all the odds, and we'll say, wow, that was a miracle. Miracles do happen. We don't always recognize them as being miracles at the time. We have small miracles happening daily. But miracles do happen as long as you have the faith, the trust, and remember to keep that eye single on what it is that you want to bring into fruition. The catastrophe from the Tower card. I mean, catastrophe, it's not a positive card, and this, I do like the way that the backgrounds are black on those cards, but I always try and find a positive. But catastrophe, you know, it's about ruin, it's about disaster and tragedies. But again, you know, we can go through catastrophic events in our life, but they shape us. And like the Tower card, you know, for me, it's the one card in the deck that I dread seeing. But I do accept, having been through Tower moments in my life, that as long as your foundations are solid, you know, particularly spiritually and mentally, if your foundations are solid, then external events can come and they can, you know, they can cause this upheaval. What it can't do is destabilize the foundations, and you can build again. You can build again on your strong foundations. The secrets. So the secrets is just about, we've all got secrets, haven't we? We've all got secrets, and sometimes they're good to have secrets. You know, some things are just for you, or people will confide in you and tell you something. But, you know, it's just things that are hidden. And sometimes things might seem secret, but they're no longer secrets when you've sought them out and you've, you know, found out about them and you've exposed them. They're no longer, you know, undercover. They're no longer hidden or out of sight. What can I say about secrets? Sometimes they can be very hurtful and harmful to others. Other times they protect. And you have to find what works best. Is it better to keep a secret and protect somebody or not? And then we have happiness, our sun card. So the happiness, yeah, it is what it is. It's joy. It's about fulfillment. It's about being satisfied. If we're happy, we're satisfied with our lot and we are full. The decision from the Judgment card. Decision doesn't always have to be in the sense of the Judgment card where it's a decision on us, but it is about the choices that we make in life. The decisions that we make and the choices that we make will take us on a course, and we have to be happy with the decisions that we make, because it will set a chain of events into motion that will send us on a particular direction. However, we're always making decisions throughout the day, and you can still get back to a different or still get back to a path that you was once on if you've made a decision that's took you way off course, you know. So just be mindful that every decision we make has a reaction. Every action has a reaction, and every decision has a consequence. Then we have the Fall, which is taken from the Tower card. Falls are setbacks. Let's be honest. You know, if we fall from wherever we're falling from, we could get injured, we could be laid up for a time, and it could halt our progress into a certain direction. But, you know, falls happen. We all fall from time to time. And it's about, do we stay down and wallow, or do we pick ourselves up, brush ourselves down, and keep going and keep trying? It's about our attitude. The sunrise, that doesn't look like a sunrise, does it? Out of context from the rest of the image, but yeah, the sunrise is beautiful. Like I said earlier, you know, the sun, when the sun rises, it's the dawning of a new day, a new beginning, a new chance, a day full of possibilities. It's about having hope. It's about movement. It's about having another go, another chance, and we should embrace it. Here we have the phases, which is taken from our High Priestess, which is about, phases are about different aspects, different chapters of our lives. Again, each will bring a new opportunity. Nothing lasts forever. Things are phased. When we're talking about phases, they're particular chunks of time, periods that we can learn and we can grow, we can develop, and then we move on to the next phase. So it's that continual growth and evolution of the soul. Let's get the piece of paper for this one. Phases. Chapter, period, stage, yeah. Episodes, growth, evolving. Yeah, exactly. There's not much more really to say about that. And then we have the protection. So the protection is about looking after ourselves, looking out for ourselves, and putting ourselves and our loved ones first. I love that this wreath here is this protective circle here that we feel you know, is wrapped around us to protect us. But it provides a defense, doesn't it? And it gives us that safety and comfort and knowledge that we have security. And it's prudent that we protect ourselves, but we don't protect ourselves too much that we have no exposure, because we need to experience, as I said earlier, the good and the bad, the light and the dark, to be able to grow and develop and learn. But at the same time, we have to protect, you know, ourselves and our loved ones. Here we have the divine, which I love. And the divine is different to different people. For some people, it's God or goddess. Others, it's light, it's a supreme soul, it's the universe, it's spirit, it's our inner souls. Whatever the divine is for you, whether it's nature or divine, I think sometimes gets bad press, and it shouldn't, because divine is just source. It's, for me, and I'm only talking about me, it's something greater than myself, but it's not separate from me, if that makes sense. I always see the divine as an ocean, and my life is a wave that, you know, the ocean, the wave comes out of the ocean, and then it goes back at the end of my life, back into the greater, the divine. I am part of the divine. You are part of the divine. Yeah. Movement from the Eight of Wands. So this is just about action, isn't it? And things moving at I love the way the movement is there, moving as well, like the wands. It's about our growth and development. It's about swiftness. It's about action and motion, and making sure that, you know, we don't get swept along, but we are going in the direction and rising to that same sort of flow. And then we have the final card, which is the Victory, which is from the Six of Wands. So this is about, if we're talking about victory, I love the fact that it's the last card. It's about our success stories, having gone through that seed, that planting, that strength against all odds, the progression, and realizing the potential that's there, keeping focused, eye single on the end result, and then the achievement, the attainment, the victory. Oh, I love it. Brant, thank you so much for making this for me, making this into a reality. I adore it. I absolutely adore it. Cardstock is lovely because it's make playing cards. It shuffles so well, and it's going to be such a wonderful companion for my RWS deck. Let me know your thoughts, guys. The link will be below of where you can get the PDF. You can take it to a printer's, or if you're tech savvy, which I'm not, then you can use things like make playing cards to print as well. Once you've bought the PDF, it's yours. So I love it, love it, love it, love it. So, and the little touches that he's done as well, I really appreciate. So there you go. So this is the Moonlight Oracle, and it's an RWS Oracle deck using Pixie's, this is famous but fabulous tarot images. I love it. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll be back on at 4 p.m. for a couple of catch-up cards. Sorry this has been a little bit long, but I just wanted to share my views and talk about each card. And yeah, if you've stuck with me, well done. I'm impressed. Until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.